Stop talking about comic books or I'll kill you. I don't care if the Hulk could defeat the man.
And welcome to the next issue of the Fortress of Popitude. I am your host, Bullseye Bob, and we have next to me,
Super Dave.
Come on, Super Dave.
What's up? How y'all doing?
I'm doing well. How about yourself, my friend?
I am doing amazing.
That's
I'm
awesome.
excited for issue 2. It's going to be legit.
Absolutely. We have so much to cover. I mean, I don't know how we're going to get through it all, but we're going to go for it.
Yeah, this might be a little longer one because, technical difficulties. We got issue 1 out on YouTube. youtube.com/Fortress of Popitude.
Awesome.
It's going to be awesome. Okay. Let's
Cool
go.
deal.
Come
Cool
on.
deal. Sounds good.
Let's get this going.
So I mean, here we are in 2019, and I think we would be remiss if we didn't look back a little bit at 2018. And one of the things that I thought was really interesting, it's our first subject of the day, is that did you know that 4 out of the 5 major companies who makes movies, that their 4 out of 5 of them, their biggest money makers were comic book entities. Can you
Yes.
believe that?
I mean, what can you imagine if you look at a comic book? You already got your script, and I mean, there's histories of Stan Lee and other great writers.
So many creators
wrote amazing stories that have captivated us all over.
Absolutely. So I was looking at it, and I kind of compiled this list, and I'm just going to read a couple of them off here and show you. So like you have Fox, you have Disney, Marvel, you have Sony, Warner Brothers, and Universal. That's the major 5.
Yeah.
And so Fox, their biggest money maker this last year was Deadpool, which made $738 million. And then when you couple that with the fact that the first one made close to half a billion dollars, that's $1 billion industry just with Deadpool.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing.
I am so hoping that Fox merger with Disney isn't going to kill that. There are some rumors online.
Yes, there's a lot of rumors.
A lot of rumors online that some of our favorite movies that we want to watch aren't going to be happening because they want to go with their PG rating and stuff. So.
Well, that's part of it. And the other part of it too, though, is that from what I understand, a couple of those things that they created, like a couple of the other movies, like we have the Dark Phoenix movie coming out, and the New Mutants is supposed to be coming out. And from what I understand, they're not looking good. And so if I was Disney and I have this great track record going on, I don't know if I'd go forward with those either.
Yeah.
And so anyway, that's one of the things that I think the next issue will definitely dive into.
Yeah.
Is the rumors and what we can count on and what we can't.
Exactly.
So, the next one, Disney, right? Disney, Marvel. Now check this out. They had 3 movies come out this year that were just huge money makers. You had Black Panther, which made $1 billion, $348 million. Then you had Avengers Infinity War, which made $2 billion just in the box office. And then you had Ant-Man and the Wasp coming in third, making still over half a billion dollars at $623 million. Wowzers.
If you think about all those movies that Disney and Marvel made, and you think about the great writing behind it, I mean, look at the Black Panther. There was some comedy in there with the prince and his sister. There was some tear-jerking going on. There was so much. And you look at the Avengers Infinity War. I mean, you look at that, and that's not counting like the DVD buys.
No, this has nothing to do with the DVD sales.
I mean, that movie alone, of course, I'm the heartless Spider-Man non-fan on the team.
It's okay.
Shameless plug is this. I kind of laughed when he said, "Hey, Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good."
That's blasphemy, buddy.
I laughed, and my wife.
I was crying, dude.
My wife, and there was something about. I just don't know why I don't like the new Spider-Man.
You don't like Tom Holland,
and
to each his own. I mean, same with me. I don't like the new guy that plays Superman on the TV show.
Yeah.
And so different actors for different people, but I get you, man.
Yeah, the new Superman is whack, and I'm sorry if you're gonna watch this, because I know you're coming to WizardCon. here pretty soon.
That's right.
You know, I mean, I'm really sorry. I'm biased, man. I'm a Superman fan. I'm sorry. You can look behind me in the pictures behind me. I collect Superman stuff.
Yes, you do.
You know, and I'm like, sorry, dude.
Come on, well, and just tell you the truth, my Superman's Henry Cavill. I don't care. I love the guy. I think he should continue playing Superman. We'll get into that later too.
Oh yeah, we got to lay smackdown on that dude.
Awesome. So the next one that we had to talk about was Sony. Now, you know, Sony owns Spider-Man, and they came out with 2 of their own movies that were non-MCU related, and you had Venom. Which made $853 million. I'm still surprised by it. $853 million.
That was a sick movie. We watched that together.
Yes, we did. But I wasn't expecting it to be as good as it was. Didn't have Spider-Man. It didn't follow the traditional Venom.
No.
I was not expecting it to be as good as it was. I laughed. It was fun.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see what they do with it next.
Yeah, and there's like rumors of that's happening.
Yeah, Venom 2 is definitely on the board.
Yeah, and they're bringing Carnage.
Oh man. That's what I'm looking for, buddy.
That cliffhanger makes me already want to buy my ticket in advance.
Absolutely. You got my money. Here you go. Take it.
Here's my card.
But the other thing that Sony came out with was not a live action movie, but their first animated movie into the Spider-Man realm. And to me, Super Dave, this is a bold statement, but to me, one of the best comic book movies that came out this year. Exactly. I'm talking about Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh, man. And I like the kid. I love that guy, Spider-Man.
He was incredible.
He was hip. You know, he wasn't Tom Holland. It was a great... he was a great, you know, the voiceover on it. Just how they did the anime on the comic things.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, it was a legit, you know, video. Like, oh, am I watching a video game or am I watching a movie? You know, it was awesome.
The graphics were cutting edge. You know, the animation was something I've never seen before. There were so many tropes that hit my heart that were just so fantastic. The acting and the voice acting was great. I mean, and to bring all those characters into that movie in an animated form and have them all work was just an incredible feat.
Yeah, I mean, it took it to the next level. There was no Daredevil there, but there was Kingpin.
Absolutely.
I mean, the guy did that, and then the whole concept of, and if you watch this, there is a spoiler alert if you have not seen it. You're under a rock, but we want to tell you about it. There's the Green Goblin.
Oh my gosh!
What they did with Green Goblin,
the ultimate Spider-Man version of Green Goblin 2, the huge Green Goblin.
Yeah,
amazing.
I mean, come on. I mean, so that was a great movie. Then you had that Spider-Man and Venom. I mean, like, they're definitely going to make another one of those.
Absolutely, but here they are, Sony. You know, with not using Spider-Man in the MCU. You know, comes up with making $1 billion themselves with 2 movies. Pretty incredible. The next one that we have on the list is not a Marvel movie. Warner Brothers finally hits a home run, and Aquaman, still in theaters, has made $1 billion.
My man. My man. My man. I mean, you think of that dude right there.
Absolutely.
I mean, you know, of course, the ladies don't want to go watch to find out, hey, is it going to go along with the comic book?
They don't care about that. They just want to go
see that dude. Hey, how you doing? Yeah. Hi.
Just the hair flips and my man.
My man. Hey, how you doing? Hey, chicks are crazy.
Well, I mean, if you really think about it, I mean, I know the history of Arthur Curry, and I grew up watching Aquaman, and they brought us a version of Aquaman and allowed Jason Momoa just to be himself. Yeah. That's a feat in itself.
I mean, he was a ham.
He was amazing.
I mean, he had some skills. He brought that comedy aspect and that superhero aspect, and he brought it together that where DC has not done it yet.
Absolutely.
I mean, they tried to do it with the movie we don't speak of, Green Lantern, but I mean, they tried to do it with him and they messed that up. And look what happened with Daredevil. Yeah, that guy has been like making tons of money in commercials now because of that. He doesn't have to do any other kind of movie. He's known as Daredevil now.
You mean Deadpool?
Excuse me. I just got the smackdown on me because this is Mr. Daredevil.
That's my character.
I mean, Deadpool.
Yeah, absolutely. Ryan Reynolds.
I was wondering why he was looking at me so funny. I'm like,
It's okay. The costumes are almost the same.
Oh yeah.
But one of the things that's amazing to me about Aquaman, and you had my money as soon as you said Black Manta. Mm-hmm. They went full on comic book with Black Manta, and we got we got the helmet and everything. I was in heaven. You give me a Black Manta, you got my money.
They did, and they did a great job with that.
Absolutely. And then the only other company out there, large company, was Universal. They didn't come out with a comic book movie. Of course, they had Jurassic World was their big money maker, but 4 out of the 5 largest filmmakers, their biggest money makers was comic book movies. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you right now, Super Dave, comic book movies are here to stay. This is not slowing down. This is why, going on to our next subject, we have an amazing 2019 lineup coming out.
Oh, dude. It's like if you look at the movies coming out, mm-hmm. and you look at the other movies coming out, there's going to be the delightful romantic comedies. We're married dudes that we're going to want to go. But the majority of the movies out there, even TV shows, is moving more towards the comic book adventures. It's becoming more of like, oh, this is awesome. I mean, we look at this stuff and like, this is our tribe.
Absolutely.
Our tribe is standing out, because if you look at everything going on right now, the creativity is that big thing that people are trying to push.
Oh, absolutely.
How is a
creativity and intellectual properties.
That's right. So
amazing stuff. So what I'm going to do is, so now speaking about that, I've actually compiled a list of all the stuff that's coming out in 2019. I'll tell you what, Dave. Why don't you read off the movies that are coming out, and I'll read off all the TV stuff that's coming out.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, these are the movies coming out.
2019.
Woo! Comic books are making a comeback. Don't call it a comeback. Okay, here we go. So we got Shazam.
Ooh.
We got Joker, which I've been hearing some very interesting things about Joker online. It's a different twist.
Absolutely.
Captain Marvel, Avengers Endgame, Spider-Man Far From Home, mm-hmm. Hellboy, X-Men Dark Phoenix, which is a surprise because no one knew that was coming out, New Mutants, and MIB, Men in Black.
Yes, and a lot of people don't realize that MIB was actually a...
Men in Black.
Boom.
Okay.
But a lot of people don't realize that Men in Black was actually a Marvel entity. A lot of people thought it was originally its own thing, but that is a Marvel comic. MIB is.
Yeah.
And there's one that's not on the list. That's a comic book movie. It wasn't actually inspired by a comic book, but come on, you have to know that it is a comic book movie, and that's Glass. It just came out a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, and I've been hearing some good things about that. It's one of those things where it's a cult.
Yeah.
You have to be into that dark comics and stuff like that. I watched the first episode. Me and my wife are watching it before we go out.
Unbreakable?
Yeah.
Yeah. Such a good movie.
So.
Okay, so that was the movies. Look at that. How many movies? It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11 comic book movies. Again, this is just showing no signs of slowing down. Comic book properties are here to stay. I'm so excited about this year. Okay, so that was the movies. Here's the TV shows coming out. Check this out. Check out this lineup. Mm-hmm. So you have Doom Patrol. That's on the DC streaming app. You have another season of The Flash. Another season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which was just renewed. Legends of Tomorrow. Krypton. Pennyworth, which is going to be a show about Alfred from Batman, believe it or not. That'll be also on the DC streaming universe, I think. Then we have another season of Arrow that was renewed. Black Lightning, which is just killing it. Mm-hmm. Runaways is probably one of my newest favorite shows. It's on Hulu. I paid for Hulu just to watch because the second season dropped. I figure I'd get both seasons. Mm-hmm. It's incredible. If you've ever read the comic book, it's so much fun, and the show really captures the essence of what that comic book is. So much fun. Then we have Titans, which is on the DC streaming app. I really loved the first season. Can't wait to see the second season later this year. And then we have Swamp Thing coming out. I can't wait for this. I've been really waiting for years for Swamp Thing to come out, and now we're getting it on the DC streaming app. Produced by James Wan, who did the Aquaman movie. Cool. That's going to be cool. Then we have Cloak and Dagger. I really liked the first season of Cloak and Dagger. I think it found itself by the end of the season.
I'm going to be honest with you. It was hard for me to get into.
It was in the first 5 episodes, but then it really found itself in the end, I think. But I'm kind of interested to see where that goes because there is possible crossover with the Runaways, which I'm really looking forward to.
That sounds legit.
Yes. And then another one that I'm looking forward to on the Amazon Prime is The Boys. An amazing comic book. Okay. That's going to be a little darker, a little more comedy. It's kind of like an anti-hero thing. Then you have Why the Last Man. I can't believe we're finally getting Why the Last Man. That'll be, I believe, on Netflix. It's going to be a show on Netflix. Then we have another season of The Gifted, which I just love. It's the closest thing we're going to get to X-Men on TV. Yeah. And so I religiously watch that one. And then we're getting Watchmen on HBO. Then Legion, another season of Jessica Jones. We just had another season of Punisher drop, Supergirl, and we're getting a Batwoman show. I mean, this is comic book content like I've always dreamed about.
Yeah, and they're doing an amazing job at it.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's like, I know if I was to look at the shows that I'm watching, that I watched today when I was working on my computer or in the background, I watched, I just finished Supergirl, Arrow, and Black Lightning. And Black Lightning, that was a show that the first season I wasn't a big fan of, and the second season maybe a little bit more. But this season they're doing right now,
it's killing it.
It's killing it. It's legit. It's not. It's more. There is some civil rights stuff that goes on with it, but just the storyline about it. It's
I love Black Lightning. Absolutely, I love some of the things and some of the risks they've taken with it. I love the character of Tobias as one of the main villains, and then his relationship with his daughters. I just think those just amazing. So we've mentioned the movies, we've mentioned the TV shows. Dave, what I like to do right now is have you pick your top 3 that you're looking forward to this year.
Oh, top 3 movies or top 3 TV shows?
Out of all of them, movies and TV shows
mixed together.
Just mixed together. If you had to pick your top 3, what would you be looking forward to?
Oh, this is kind of hard, man. So top 3. I mean, I gotta do this. I mean, if I was just to do movies and stuff like that, I'm looking forward to The Joker.
Yes.
They're gonna take that to a different twist, and it's not like your traditional Joker. They're going more with like the Dark Knight Joker.
Yeah, actually, what they're doing is they're going with the Joker from what we know from the Alan Moore story, The Killing Joke, where he was a failed comedian. Yes. And Dave, I am so excited about this Joker movie, but there's a piece of it that I don't want. Yeah. Right? They're going to do an origin story, and I kind of liked in The Dark Knight where every time he asked about the scars. He had a different story every time. That kept a mystery to the Joker.
So serious?
Right. and so they're gonna lay down this origin story. But I really think Joaquin Phoenix is gonna bring something special to this role. So I'm excited about it.
He does dark characters right.
He does.
I mean, and he's a method actor.
Oh yeah.
I mean, so he's already growing his hair out, and he's already walking in public with clown makeup on. I mean, he's getting into his character.
Absolutely.
Of course, Captain Marvel, I am looking forward to that, and I'm also looking forward to Endgame.
How could you not be looking forward to Endgame?
I am scared, but I'm happy. It's one of those things where, you don't know what's going to happen.
No.
They have all these rumors. There was like a couple months ago, the rumor that Wolverine's going to be in there because Google made a mistake. And when you search something on Google so many times, Google gets that search engine and pops up stuff.
You saw Hugh Jackman was going to be a part of it and all that.
Which would have, I would have, I'd be camping out in front of Century 16 at the mall right now just to watch the movie if I knew that was happening.
Having Hugh Jackman in there?
Yeah.
I hear you.
And they said there was rumors about Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds being in it. Mm-hmm. So but the deal hasn't really solidified. It's almost there, but it's like
ink isn't dry yet.
Ink isn't dry on it yet. So and then I'm already, like I said, I'm already watching The Flash. I'm already watching Black Lightning. But if I was to look at all these, just to say one more, I'd have to say I like Krypton.
Yeah, Krypton killed it in the first season.
And it's one of those things. I am a Superman fan. I do like the Superman culture. I am right now collecting a bunch of Superman comics, where I'm actually categorizing in my partner. I'm paying him to make sure I don't get dupes because I've got some dupes. by going in there because I didn't have a game plan. But the whole essence of Krypton and how they did the acting and and this guy coming. If you haven't seen the show, yes, we're doing spoilers. Him going back to the future, and his future is very, very different. But they're going in. It's awesome.
I mean, just the way they did Brainiac alone.
Brainiac was awesome.
Oh my gosh. Finally somebody did Brainiac right.
Yeah, and then they took over. You got to watch the show. I don't want to go too much into it. But I like that. And I'm also, I'm interested to see what they're going to do with Watchmen. I thought that was going to be more of a movie. I didn't know it was going to be a TV show.
Yeah. I'm excited about that as well.
They left that, of course, you saw the Blue Madness on there. On the first one, if you've seen the show, you know what I'm talking about.
Mr. Manhattan, Dr. Manhattan.
The Blue Madness. That's what I'm going to call it. Because I don't want YouTube to censor me. But it's one of those things where that movie right there made a bunch of money as well.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
Because it was like it's a darker form of superhero.
Oh, there's Zack Snyder's take on things again as well, right? Yeah. And so, but the thing I'm excited about is that it's not going to retell the story that we already know. It's going to pretty much, from what I understand, take place right after the story we all know and love, and it's going to continue in that universe. Yeah. And so that excites me. That excites me.
I mean, and that's where they need to do it. I mean,
long form storytelling, absolutely.
I think one of the biggest mistakes, and then we'll get to Bob, is like when they do so many remakes of movies and stuff like that. Everybody always has their bias. I didn't like Tobey Maguire, right? Is that
you don't like Tom Holland?
I didn't like Tom Holland. But I didn't like the first Spider-Man.
Oh, you didn't like Tobey Maguire either.
I didn't like Tobey
Maguire. Oh, so you like Andrew Garfield?
I liked Garfield.
Yeah.
I mean, the way he portrayed it, but they changed it so many times. Like, and I've told my wife in the past, there are so many different universes. Yeah. And if you look at that, I mean, there's so many different comic books. You have the DC version of it. You have the Action Comics version of it. You have the new ones that are coming out. All by different authors, and there's different takes of the story.
Absolutely. And I really like that. Some people get mad that they don't, follow the comic exactly. And look, really, if they were to follow the comic, do the story that's in the comic book, we've already seen that. And you would have no surprises. You would know what was coming up. And I understand that there's, paying an homage to the original story. But I like when they take these original stories and they add new twists to it and they make a different take on it, so that it's drawing from the source material, and then that way it pays homage, but you get something brand new and pretty awesome.
Well, who's the excuse me, and if you guys ever watch our show, please don't. I'm bad with names. Who's the directors of Endgame?
The Russo, Endgame, the Russo brothers.
The Russo brothers. So,
right.
One of the things they've talked about, even in their panels, from just watching stuff online, they talked about how they're following the comics to the best they can, but they want to give it a twist.
Absolutely.
They want people like, okay, so I'm going to get a bunch of comic book nerds, like me and Bob are, they're going to read the story and they're going to be disappointed. I think what they're doing the best in their movies is the fact they're giving us cliffhangers and they're giving us something new to expect.
Absolutely.
They've taken some of the comic books where other companies have done a really bad job at, and they've mashed them in a little bit to make that story, go through and feel. I mean, there are some really big rumors going on in Endgame right now.
Don't say a word.
And I had to, like you said, I've had to not watch them.
Right.
And like, there's some you can see some of the pictures and I want to click on that YouTube video so bad, but if I do and it doesn't happen, I could get really disappointed
and ruin it.
And that was probably what happened to Spider-Man for me. I watched a bunch of the previews.
Right.
I haven't even been watching the Marvel. Captain Marvel. And there's stuff like that happening all over the line. It's Easter eggs happening, and it's hard not to see that one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I kind of have to abstain, only because I when I go in, I want to see it fresh. I want to see it with my eyes and not have it spoiled. And so, So anyway, so my three picks, the ones I'm looking forward to the most, inside of movies, definitely Avengers Endgame. How could you not? I mean, we're going to continue the amazing story that they did inside of Infinity War. And look, I mean, we've been waiting this whole year for this to come. And I mean, I know tickets go on sale next month. I'll be one of those people that buys the first day and helps break the records. And I just can't wait. I can't wait. And then inside of, and I mean, I could pick 3 movies, definitely. I mean, a Joker, I definitely am looking forward to. Spider-Man Far From Home, I mean, look, I'm a huge Mysterio fan. Mysterio is going to be inside of this. The coming attractions, you know, the trailer showed him with the fishbowl. You got my money. I can't wait to see him on the big screen.
Yeah, Mysterio was one of my favorite villains.
Absolutely.
That and Doc Ock, you know. You know what I mean?
And actually, later on in the show, Mysterio will be our first Fortress figure we'll go into.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, well, I'm excited about that.
Can't wait to go into it. As far as TV shows go, after I saw Titans, there's an episode inside of Titans that features the Doom Patrol. It was such an amazing episode. And because of that, Doom Patrol is one of my, top watch on my top list that I'm excited for this year. Definitely Swamp Thing. You know, I really hope that they do that right. And then, again, I'm with you.
Wasn't the Swamp Thing of the 80s like something like a cult classic?
It was a cult. Alan Moore wrote it.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, it got into, you know, a little more horror. But I mean, there was this moment. I'll never forget it. If you haven't read the comic books, you know, this is a spoiler. If you want to stop this so you can go read the original content. If you never have, I would suggest that you do because it's classic.
Didn't they have their own theme song?
Oh, that was for the original Swamp Thing movie.
Thing. You make my heart sing.
Yeah.
You do everything.
Yeah. But the original comic book written by Alan Moore, there's a scene inside of there where he's trying to figure things out, and he really believes that he's a man that's been transformed into this plant thing, and when he finds out that he wasn't a man, there's this realization that you're going through with him in the moment.
Yeah.
It gave me chills. It was so well done.
Yeah.
And one of those comic book moments that I'll never forget. And so Swamp Thing will always be, have a special, especially that storyline by Alan Moore, have a special place in my heart. So I'm excited for that. And then Why the Last Man? Post-apocalyptic. I mean, it's... I love that comic book. So that we're getting that is just, we just live in a world where...
Yeah.
I mean, what universe do we live in where we're getting all this on screen, bro?
Yeah, man.
I mean,
it's
grandmas know who Thanos is. I just love it.
Yeah.
So, awesome stuff. So, at this point, what I'd like to do, Super Dave, is we got a couple of people that we want to shout out to. These are our sponsors. And we really appreciate a couple of the companies that do sponsor us. The first that we want to bring up is the Nerd Out. Dave, have you been to the Nerd Out yet?
I haven't been to the Nerd Out yet.
Not yet.
Really
I know you were going to go last week.
I was going to go on my birthday. Birthday was on Sunday, or it was no Saturday night, but stuff happened and I couldn't make it. But I'm excited because I know they're in Southeast Portland.
Absolutely.
And they're located at 3308 Southeast Belmont Street in Portland, Oregon.
Absolutely.
And you can find them at the nerdoutpdx.com.
nerdoutpdx.com. Great place to go. Great place to take the family. There's comic books, you know, that have wallpapered the walls. So you'll find things, you know, from your childhood all the way to stuff now. There's action figures everywhere. They have drinks with nerdy themes on it. The food is great.
I was looking at it online. I'm like, this is hot.
Yeah.
This is, you know, if you're a superhero fan, this is hot.
Yeah, absolutely. The drinks are good. The food is legit. And they do some special things. Like they have a trivia night that they do. The first Thursday, I think the last Thursday of every month is the cosplay night. You get dressed up and you can go inside of there and see everything from Groot to Storm sitting at the bar. And just the atmosphere is amazing.
Yeah.
The owner and proprietor, his name is Mitch. Do yourself a favor, go inside there, introduce yourself. He's part of our clan, part of our people. He's a personable guy, and he would just love to be able to, you know, to serve you and have you hang out with him. And the guy knows his stuff. I mean, I had a conversation with him about Johnny Sacco and his flying robot, and I don't know too many people who know about that one, but Mitch knew about it. Go on in, say hi, and hang out at the Nerd Out.
One more time, that's the Nerd Out, located at 3308 Southeast Belmont Street, Portland, Oregon, 97214. Go to thenerdout.com for more information.
Absolutely. And the next one we want to talk about is, I don't know where you get your comics, but Super Dave and I, we get our comics from a place called Comics Adventure. Dave, can you tell us a bit about Comics Adventure?
Oh, my word. Bruce knows his stuff down there.
Yes, he does.
And it's not just Bruce that knows his stuff. His wife knows her stuff. I don't know if you met his wife yet.
I have not.
I went in there the other day. Mm-hmm. She does like Southern California football teams, like the Rams. They're going to win the Super Bowl. Shameless plug. There is, they like their son is helping out, or their friend. I mean, these guys are legit. They were a small business in Gladstone, mm-hmm. and I'm going to tell you, he has a 50-cent comic book area.
Yes.
And just recently, meaning yesterday, and I beat Bob there. That's another shameless plug. They moved to McLaughlin Boulevard in Milwaukee, Oregon. And I walked in there, and oh my word. The layout that he's going to get going on, mm-hmm. even the comics, it reminds me of the Big Bang Theory, the comic area,
Really?
I mean, it's one of those things that makes my heart, pitter patter, like, oh my word, let's go there every day. I bought some comics. Again, I have like this little app on my phone that shows me which comic books I have. Mm-hmm. Because last time I was there, he says, hey, do you have these all categorized? And I'm like, no, I don't. I probably don't have any duplicates. Well, I found out I have a bag of duplicates that I'm gonna donate to one of my students of my youth group because they like comics. And I asked their parents, and they said it was cool, and I said, all right.
Awesome stuff.
So, they moved out to they're there off McLaughlin Boulevard, like right across from Walmart. And if you want to go visit them, tell them that Bob and Dave sent you. He'll know who we are because we have boxes and subscriptions there. You can do that. He does a great job. And his address is 15705 Southeast McLaughlin Boulevard in Milwaukee, Oregon. And, they are a great family to go and be there with. And if you want to visit them on the web, it'll take them straight to their Facebook page, but it's comicadventure.com. That's comicadventure.com. They're open Monday through Sunday. They're a great family business. I know Bob gets his comics there. I get my comics there. They have a great location. The parking is decent. If you are looking someplace for your kid to go and get lost in something, I saw this little kid who said, I want to go over to this area because it had toys and stuff like that and different comics and stuff. The excitement for comic books is there.
Absolutely.
I've been to other comic book stores. I'm not going to mention names because I don't want to be disrespectful. Mm-hmm. But the feel of that smell of comics when you're walking into the place.
Nothing like it.
It's not a stale smell, but it's like, I have arrived. And there's new comics there too. Don't get us wrong, because I'm collecting some new comics. But right now, I'm in this. I want to collect all the Superman comics I can get.
There you go.
And then I'm gonna go Batman. Because without Batman, how do you have Superman? Come on now. So again, they're located at 15705 Southeast McLaughlin Boulevard in Milwaukee, Oregon. And if you want to visit them on the web, it is comicadventure.com. Yes, that will take them right to your Facebook page, but like them, share it, tell your friends about it. Let's get the nerd revolution going on about comics and visit these guys. Bruce is a great guy, and his family, small family business out there, and they're doing a great job.
Absolutely. And one of the things that you want to know is that if you have 3 titles that you want him to gather for you monthly, and he'll give you a 10% discount on those books. And the great thing about him is that when I first walked into his store, I didn't even have to wait to get that 10% discount. He gave it to me on the spot because that's how good of a guy he is.
You know what they remind me of? And the same probably for the Nerd Out as well. It's like Cheers.
That's true.
Where everybody knows your name. I walked in the door and he was helping a client, and he said, hey, Dave, how's it going?
Yeah.
I'm like, it's going great. I'm going to go that way. And he says, yep, it's all the way back to the side of the wall. And I'm like, you know where I'm going.
That's good stuff. And so, stop in there, say hi. Best comic shop that you'll find in Portland, at least That's in our opinion. I know there's a lot of other great ones. Don't want to diss them, but that's where we go to get our comics. Comics Adventure.
Exactly.
Be there, be square.
Come on.
Awesome stuff. So one of the things that we do in our podcast, this is one of the section of our podcast, one of our normal segments, and that is, and this will be something that's very dear to our local things that we have going on, but we are doing the countdown to Rose City Comic Con.
Bob, you got your tickets?
I already have my tickets.
I got my tickets.
I know you do.
I got my tickets because they had like a special.
They did.
And I went in, I'm like, cha-ching, $55 in Fast Pass. Hello, what would you not? You know, I stood in that line last year, and I'm like, come on now. It was an amazing experience, but I want to get in and get done with it and go to the panels and
absolutely,
you know, get some of that good food.
So Rose City Comic Con is Portland's premier pop culture event. Rose City Comic Con is produced locally in Portland with a focus on creating a fun and friendly event for everyone. The primary focus is on comics creators, and the creative process of comics, while it's also a platform for gaming, sci-fi, cosplay, anime, fantasy, and everything in between. It truly is the best event in Portland. This year's dates are September 13th through the 15th. You can go to rosecity.com for details. They are sold out of the early bird tickets, which is the weekend passes, which we got.
Yeah,
we got in on it.
You already know.
But they will be opening it up soon for ticket sales. That would be for the individual days, and of course for any of the photo shoots that they normally have. When we get details on that, we'll have exclusives. Up to the minute news straight from Rose City Comic Con that you'll only hear here on the Fortress of Popitude. So stay tuned, folks, and remember,
it's going to be legit.
It's going to be awesome. I can't wait. I got 3 cons that I'm going to this year. Emerald City Comic Con up in Seattle, and then there's another one up in Washington because Roy Thomas is going to be there. But the one event that I'm so looking forward to more than anything else this year, Rose City Comic Con, brother.
Legit. I went last year for my very first time with Bob. I hung out with him and his wife, and I brought my homie, the man, the myth, and the legend, who in the other room is playing video games right now, probably playing Black Ops 3 or Battlefield right now, Andy, and he's already talking about his costume he wants to get. And
yes.
So, you know, he'll be working on that. I don't know what I'm going to go as, if I go dressed up or if I just go people watch again, but it was legit.
Absolutely.
So pack a lunch, folks.
I think
it's going to be great.
I think I'm going to be going as Kingpin myself this year. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So, awesome stuff. So, stay tuned for more news about Rose City Comic Con. Of course, like I said, here at Fortress of Popitude, we will have exclusives every time that we have a podcast.
Exactly.
All right. So, next piece of news, Dave. This dropped last week, and I was kind of excited about it, and I'm still puzzled about it, but we had a teaser trailer drop for a new Ghostbusters movie. Can you believe this?
I mean, and here's the thing about the new Ghostbusters. It's the fact that they're bringing back some of the original dudes.
And what's funny about that, everybody anticipates that, even though they have not announced that.
Yeah.
The director is the son of the original director.
Sweet.
And I can't think of his name. Sorry about that. I don't have it written down. Normally I'm prepared with that. But and he said that it's going to take place directly after Part 2 of the original, which means supposedly we would get the original characters.
Yeah.
Now they're a lot older, but I'm telling you, I would love to have Alex Venkman, Bill Murray.
We had some of those characters who've gone on to the other side, so maybe they'll come back in like a ghost cameo. You know.
Not the 3-way. Dan Aykroyd's still there. Bill Murray's still there.
What's his name?
I can't think of his name. The dude with the glasses.
Yeah.
I think he's still there. And I don't know about the African American dude. I don't know if he's still around.
He is around because he was in the very last part of the movie when the daughter or uncle had the car. In this last one? Oh, okay. Yeah. Look, so we have the original Ghostbusters. I thought there was one that went on because they did Dr. Freeman, right? Wasn't it?
Dr. Freeman. Which one was Dr. Freeman?
He was the dude with the glasses and brown hair.
Oh, no, he didn't go on. He has just stopped acting. I think. What the heck is his
They just had like this big old plaque of him and stuff. So.
Right. Yeah. I can't think of his name. He was the gatekeeper.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And he ended up he doesn't act anymore because he ended up leaving acting to take care of his family, and so
that right there is like, come on, give some respect.
Absolutely, you got to give some respect. Yeah. So, but I'm excited about this. I mean, the implications of what they could do with a new Ghostbusters movie is incredible. Look, there's nothing wrong with the Ghostbusters they did with the ladies, but it just didn't hit home.
Yeah,
right.
It was a win for the brown-haired lady. She's making all these movies right now.
Kristen Wiig.
Yeah, Kristen Wiig. It was a win for her.
Absolutely.
And the blonde-haired lady, I wasn't too big. I wasn't too much of a fan.
Yeah, I mean, I just for whatever reason it didn't hit home. I actually no pun on the women here, but I actually enjoyed Chris Hemsworth inside of the movie, but he was so funny.
Hey guys, how's it going?
That was great. I mean, his comedy timing is impeccable anyway.
Yeah.
But I had more fun watching him than the rest of the movie, and I wanted to like it so much.
Yeah.
But anyway, the ability to have a new Ghostbusters movie, I'm excited for that. I always love revisiting, the nostalgia, and especially if you can have the original cast. Give me Bill Murray with the plasma pack. Yeah. I'm all in.
How's everybody doing? Now I want to get into this here.
I still copy his lines all the time. Ho ho ho! Whoa, nice shooting,
guys.
Tex. Good stuff.
You are ugly. Okay.
So, Dave. Now, I know you have your opinions about Spider-Man, but just in this last week or so, we had the Spider-Man Far From Home trailer drop.
Oh, brother.
What was your reaction? I mean, we will do trailer reactions as we go on. We can't do a trailer reaction for this one because we've both already seen it. But what was your reaction when you first saw it?
So, there was a lot of mixed feelings. The biggest speculation, I'm just going to talk about, I liked it. I liked the trailer. What I've heard about, some of the reactions online was, this is taking place, after like the Endgame. And there was no mention of Tony Stark. But there was in the trailer. You guys got to watch the trailer. There's a spoiler, so I'm just warning you right now. You can pause it and stop it. Do whatever you want to do. Fast forward a few minutes. But the Aunt May, and that one dude,
Happy Hogan,
it looked like they got a little happy. I mean,
they did.
And Tom Holland was like,
"What just happened?"
Excuse me, because but it makes sense because. Iron Man and Iron Woman, because that there's been rumors about that as well. I mean, that makes sense because Tony Stark is the playboy, but he got hooked, and he's in love. And there's also, if you go into comics, you can find out about Iron Man and his lady, But that's not what got me. Is the fact that he says, "I'm not going to bring my suit with me."
Right.
And then. It brought the whole the trailer was a spoiler in itself,
right?
Because if you look at some of the stuff dropped, there's what's his face? My mind went blank.
Mysterio.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh yeah, Nick Fury.
Nick Fury's like, so you're the Spider-Man. And he asked if his buddy was okay, and he said he might want to turn him over. I mean, that was hilarious to me right there. But the villain, I mean, I remember watching Saturday morning cartoons, and one of the main villains that kept on coming with Spider-Man, which I love the cartoon, the original cartoon, was the new villain. I mean, if you think about that, I mean, Mysterio is an iconic character that came out of left field because they have not tackled Mysterio in the movies yet.
No, they haven't.
In any of the Spider-Man universes, they have not tackled him.
Yeah.
And when I saw who the character was, I'm like, oh, I'm a little scared about that. But the dude can be weird.
Absolutely.
And if he can be weird just enough, because we like crazy sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
That could be like, oh my word!
I'm so on board with this. I'm so on board with this. So when I first saw the trailer, my reaction, of course, I loved all the little tiny things, right?
Mm-hmm.
I loved that we got that little scene with Aunt May and Happy. Shocker. And then
spoiler alert.
Yeah, and then the whole thing with Nick Fury, shocker. Yeah. And then we had the whole thing with seeing Mysterio show up, and then we should see all the elementals that are in there, right? Yeah. And so my concern is this. Mm-hmm. Now that I've watched it like 20 million times, one of the things that I'm used to with the MCU movies is that when you watch trailers for the MCU movies, we get these little bits, but you have no idea what the story is.
Yes.
Right? You don't get all these, you get enough to wet your whistle and you're excited about it, but you have no idea what the story is going to be, what it's going to hold.
Exactly.
And inside of this trailer, we got this reveal of Happy Hogan and Aunt May. I would have loved to have watched that in the movie, not in a trailer.
Oh, yeah.
Right? This thing where Nick Fury shows up, I would have loved to have been in my seat and went, oh, Nick Fury!
It would have been awesome. It would have been just like the Red Skull and Endgame. Right? I mean, like...
And then they show Mysterio, which is cool, because you show me Mysterio with the fishbowl on, you got my money. And then they show all these elementals, and people are already picking apart what the story's going to be. And my concern is that did they not have enough confidence in the movie itself that they had to show these hooks in order to get people to get excited about it because there's something wrong?
Well, look what's coming up. If we go back up to our notes and stuff like that, look what's coming out. I mean, yes, Spider-Man Far From Home is there, but you got movies like, where's it at? You have, Endgame, you have Captain Marvel. I mean, I don't know if you've watched the trailer for Captain Marvel.
I have. I've watched them all.
There was some spoilers in there that people are, even with that movie, they're picking it apart because, so this was going to happen in Endgame.
Right.
I mean, Endgame. Ant-Man. Showing Ant-Man in the video in the very last
That was perfect because it doesn't really tell you what's going to happen.
And then Cap saying, when was this you recorded? Cap, that is live right now.
She says that, but right, if you notice, when she says that, they cut away, right? So I don't think she says that right there.
Yeah,
I think that is a dupe.
Yeah,
right, and so we'll get into that because we're going to get into Endgame stuff later when we do the next podcast.
Episode 3.
But for this particular trailer, I loved every minute of it. I got excited about it, but there's a piece of it that I'm wondering. They showed all this cool stuff, and what's left in the movie?
Yeah. Right?
And so I'm concerned. I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. I'm on board. I got Mysterio. And so I just laying it out there, I'm going to say, even the end joke inside of the trailer where you have Flash Thompson waxing lyrical about Spider-Man, and they're like, what's the big deal about Spider-Man? Oh, he's cool. He's got this suit. He takes care of people. And he looks over at Peter Parker and goes, what's up, D-Wad?
Yeah.
Which I laughed, but I would have loved to have seen that in the movie, not have it spoiled inside the spoiler. Inside of the trailer. So yeah, so that
it makes you think about the confidence that are going on and stuff like that.
Right.
So
I think it's very bold when the MCU does a trailer that doesn't give away anything. Right? It says they have confidence that what you're going to see is going to blow you away.
Well, look at the I know we're talking about this, but if you look in the whole Spider-Verse and stuff like that, and some of the old comic movies. The Punisher was very big in the Spider-Man. That's how I got introduced to Spider-Man the Punisher was through Spider-Man.
Right.
And then I got the Daredevil. And then but you look at that, their first trailer they dropped on Netflix, it was just them telling a brief little story.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just the Punisher.
Yeah.
The second one, me and my friend Handy, we have a handshake that we're not watching. We had to watch it together the first time, and so he got sick this last weekend, so we weren't able to watch it.
Right.
So I know Bob's way ahead of me, but in the first episode, or two episodes, and again, this is a spoiler, so you can get up all of my business later on. But Jigsaw. Mm-hmm. That's an iconic character there, and just the way they're doing it is really cool.
I disagree. And so, but I think what would be really cool is, because I've had this debate with a few people.
But I haven't seen the whole thing.
I know you haven't. So. I just finished. I'm on the last episode. Okay. So I think it would be really cool to watch it all the way through, and then when we get to the end, we'll have a spoiler-rich podcast where we debate The Punisher and talk about what we liked, what we didn't like, because there are some things that I loved about this season, and there's some things that I truly hated.
We might have to bring Andy in on that.
Not a problem. We can bring Andy in.
Because Andy is a big Punisher fanatic.
Sure thing.
So
absolutely. So yeah, we'll get together on that. But since we were talking about Spider-Man Far From Home, we're going to do one of our podcast segments right now, which is our Fortress figure. Boop, boop, boop. So if you don't know what the Fortress figure is, basically either Super Dave or me, Bullseye Bob, will take one of the characters that's inside of the news, and we'll do a bio on them. And this is more for newer people who are getting into comics, getting into movies. Maybe you haven't read the comics, and this is kind of just a quick bio on a single character so that you can kind of get to know him and find out where he came from.
Yeah.
And so
I'm going to turn it over to Bob.
All right. So this one, this week's Fortress figure is Mysterio.
Da, da, da.
So let me get my reading voice on here. So Quentin Beck was an expert in designing special effects and devices and stage illusions, as well as a master hypnotist and magician, and an amateur chemist. He also possessed a wealth of knowledge in hand-to-hand combat techniques, which he learned from being a stuntman. Unfortunately, all these things did little to help his career in the film industry. One day, a colleague joked that the easiest way to become famous was to take out one of the costumed heroes that everybody's hearing about in the news. It was here that Mysterio was born. Probably one of the most unique supervillains ever created, with the iconic fishbowl on his head. Mysterio made his first appearance in Amazing Spider-Man number 13. That's going all the way back to the 60s. Created by the famous duo Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. Mysterio would quickly be cemented into one of the greatest rogues galleries in comic books. Facing Spider-Man many times, he would go on to square off against other heroes inside of the Marvel Universe, such as Daredevil, the Man Without Fear, and of course, facing off against Old Man Logan. He would go on to be a part of the famous group, the Sinister Six, but for the most part, he did stay to himself. Being an actor, he did not like sharing the spotlight. Needless to say, being a huge Mysterio fan, he always stole the show for me, personally, and I can't wait to see him on the big screen. And you know, one of my favorite Mysterio moments has to be in the last 10 years. Mark Millar, I know his name is Mark Miller. I still call him Mark Millar because that's the way it's spelled. When he did the original run on Old Man Logan, when all the supervillains started basically taking out all the heroes, how they took out the X-Mansion still blows me away. And so all these villains start pouring into the X-Mansion, and here's Wolverine trying to protect the kids. And he goes up against all these iconic just villains, taking him out left and right, killing them, until he gets down to the last one, and it's Bullseye. And he fights with Bullseye for a full 45 minutes until he finally takes him out. And then that's when the illusion is lifted. Mysterio had basically taken all those villains, and they were actually all the kids, all the mutants inside of the X-Mansion, and Wolverine had killed them all.
And that's one of those things they alluded to in Old Man Logan.
Yeah, and that was the power of Mysterio. That's the type of thing that he can do. He can bring such an illusion and stage production that you believe it's real, and you'll go to town. And that's the reason why inside of that comic book that Wolverine had not popped his claws in over 30 years, because he swore he'd never do it again. It's such an amazing story, but that piece of it right there gave me chills. It was one of the darkest moments in comic books, but it also cemented one of the reasons why I just love the Mysterio character.
Exactly.
Good stuff. Super Dave, do you have any thoughts on Mysterio before we go on?
Oh, brother, I'm excited. I'm excited to see this iconic super villain
Absolutely
hit the screen.
I can't wait.
It could be almost as big as Thanos.
Come on. And Jake Gyllenhaal. I can't believe they got Jake Gyllenhaal to play him.
Yeah.
That's going to be amazing. So, okay, we've only got 2 more pieces of news. I think we've almost gotten to the end of it here, Super Dave.
I know this is a longer episode, but or an issue. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
We're excited about what's going on. There is so much going on. You're not going to want to turn away from this.
Absolutely.
I'm going to challenge you as before we go. Share with your friends. Write in the comments. We're doing this on YouTube. Write in the comments saying what we can do to improve. But if we don't learn, how are we to grow?
Absolutely. Tell us what you like, what you don't like, what you'd like to see. We don't want to be just another comic book podcast, even though, we said in the very beginning, why not? Mm-hmm. Because this is what we love. And I think our passion will come out. And we just want to we want to nerd out with you guys as well.
Come on.
And so if you like the podcast, please hit like, please hit subscribe, and let us know what you like.
And as we get more social media and website stuff going on, we'll have that information out there for you as well.
Absolutely. So our next piece of news, just really quick, what do you think about Black Panther getting nominated for an Academy Award Best Picture?
I think that is probably one of the hugest piece of comic book news out there. I mean,
my gosh,
the story, like I said before, the storyline, the way they did that movie, even the first opening scenes. If you haven't seen it, go to Netflix. It's going to be on there for a little bit longer before Disney takes it and puts it on their own platform. Yeah. That's a whole nother episode or issue. Because I got issues with that. So you think about even the beginning with the little boy.
Oh yeah.
In the flying in and the brother, and then how in the story how it's twisted. And how they put everything together so well in that.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, even to the part where, hey uncle, I remember you. In the end of it, I mean, they didn't miss a beat.
No. I was blown away. Ryan Coogler did such an amazing job directing that movie. And if you really think about it, he had, more of a task than the other directors because he didn't character build. He had to world build. We had to build the world of Wakanda.
Exactly.
So not only did he build the world of Wakanda, but he hit story tropes that were so deep into our cultural makeup right now. I mean, he hit sins of the father. He hit spirituality. He hit royalty. Mm-hmm. He hit a villain that people identified with so much that by the end of the movie, you almost rooted for the villain. I mean, he was. Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger. What an amazing performance!
Word. That guy is hot right now.
Absolutely,
not like hot, but I mean like.
But one of the best villains ever portrayed because we got to see what his motivations were, and in the end, you identified with him. That scene when T'Challa takes him up to go watch the sunset, I was in tears the whole time. Yeah. Amazing, and the way they portrayed women in power, it was just Okoye as part of the Dora Milaje, showing Shuri as the smartest girl in all of the Marvel universe.
Oh yeah,
love it.
There's rumors where, again, there's always rumors going on around the internet land, in comic books. There's rumors that Tony Stark and her are going to do something together in the next movie.
Absolutely. Some people are thinking that maybe Shuri will become Ironheart.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a possibility. Nothing's off the table at this point.
She is hilarious.
Oh, I loved her. Absolutely loved her.
And she didn't give her brother any crap.
No, I wouldn't be surprised if when we hear about all these Disney, small shows that are coming out of their streaming service, if we don't get a Shuri show. Yeah,
my wife is so shameless, like, Bob, I don't know if you know this about me, but I've gotten away from watching Disney princess movies. And I think it was when we were...
Really, Dave? Yeah. You're not a closet princess watcher?
I'm not. And so, and I have a niece. I haven't seen the movie Frozen. I don't know if you've seen Frozen.
I have. I have a granddaughter.
Okay. So I got out of watching that. Mm-hmm. And when my wife heard that a lot of the Disney movies are being taken off Netflix... Mm-hmm. Which, call Netflix, say it's a dumb idea. They need to stay into it, But it was, she's like, well, get the Disney app. And I'm like, oh, okay. I get to watch all my superhero movies and stuff. Because I don't have the DC Universe app.
Right.
Yet, I'm thinking about it. But, it's one of those things right now I can see it all on Netflix and, YouTube. And there's a bunch of stuff I can, if you want to see it, you can see certain things.
Absolutely.
So... But
it's good stuff. So I mean, I think it's you're right. It's one of the biggest pieces of comic book news in a long time. Look, I mean, in the past, we've had comic book movies nominated for Academy Awards.
Yeah.
I mean, The Dark Knight, won Best Supporting Actor, but it didn't get a Best Picture nod or anything like that. And so to finally have a comic book movie at least acknowledged.
Yes.
Right. And I really think that, and here's the biggest nub. I really think the biggest part of what made that movie was the director Ryan Coogler, and he did not get a nod for Best Director. I think that's a snub, but at least we got the nomination for Best Picture. I'm so happy for that. Wakanda forever!
Come on, my brother! We got a brother named Brother.
Absolutely.
Brother William. That's we love that guy.
Oh, absolutely. Brother William is the best. And so now we come to our last piece of news, Super Dave, and this one should be very dear to your heart.
I want to say this puts a smile on the big guy's face.
Absolutely. Now, we don't normally deal with rumors here. We do talk a lot about rumors, but the news we want to bring is confirmed. But this is a rumor that is so big and so dear to my brother's heart,
dear to my heart,
that we can't walk by it without saying something about it. It is rumored that Henry Cavill is in talks to extend his contract with Warner Brothers to play the Man of Steel.
If that happens, fellas and folks and ladies and nerds of all ages, oh my word. And if that happens, that means what I heard from the oh my gosh, my brain is like going blank right now.
It's okay.
Dennis, the artist I got to sign my
Brian Michael Bendis.
Yes. Mm-hmm. He's they'll say anything when you get an autograph. But I was so excited. I waited in line. He says, "Oh yeah, we had a big meeting about Superman." And he said that at Rose City Comic Con,
right,
which is coming up. We're on the countdown, baby. But I'm excited. I think he's played the best Superman out there. Of course, you have different Superman super characters. The guys that have played Superman, rest his soul. Christopher Reeve was an awesome.
Yes, he was an amazing Superman.
Amazing Superman.
He's the one that started it all.
I mean, and then, the one that started it all was the dude.
But in movies.
TV show guy.
Yeah, but the very, very first superhero movie was Superman.
And then they had the guy from Legends of Tomorrow that became the whatchamacallit, Legends of Tomorrow.
I can't think of his name.
He shrinks down, a little small guy.
Right. Yeah.
And they allude to that in the TV show. You play the Man of Steel.
Right. That was in Superman Returns. I can't think of his name. Chris Rowell? No, something like that.
He did a lousy job at it. I'm gonna,
He looked like Christopher Reeves. That was the whole thing.
That's what But the other guy, I mean, it's amazing. And then if they could get Supergirl, in there somehow, I don't know how they're gonna do it. I think they're doing the whole there's rumors even a Superman show coming out.
Yeah.
Well, because they're trying to reduce Smallville.
Absolutely. Well, one of the things about Titans, and this is a spoiler. I'm just going to spoiler alert. If you don't want to hear this, go away. But the very end cutscene inside of the Titans show, at the very end, you see this cage, and the cage breaks open, and here's a white dog, and the red eyes start to glow.
Dude, I got that comic book!
You see Crypto, and then right next to Crypto, you see Superboy stand up, and I was like, dude!
I mean, and that goes straight along with their cartoon they had a few years back.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, don't shoot me, but their comics, their cartoons they did.
Oh, they've been killing it with the animated stuff.
I mean, that's what DC's doing good.
Yeah.
Even Marvel has done good, but DC has excelled at that.
Oh, they've killed it in the animated stuff.
I mean, so
So Henry Cavill coming back as Superman would be
my.
amazing. I think, you know, he needs another chance. I you know, don't get me wrong. I like Zack Snyder, but I don't think Zack Snyder did a good portrayal of Superman in the first two movies. I mean, I had a lot of issues with the first one, even though I loved it.
Yeah.
I had a lot of issues. I mean, I don't think that he would have left his dad to die on the road the way that he did, and things like that. And truthfully, we got more of what I believe is Superman inside of the Justice League movie when Zack Snyder came and took over, right? And we got a glimpse of what Henry Cavill could be as Superman, and man, I just wanted more.
Well, it lines up with some of the credits that in the movie when they Shazam, which is
coming out.
I'm gonna go watch the movie. I got mixed feelings. I'm gonna be. Well, I've been doing a whole other episode. But we're going on an hour now.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I got mixed feelings, brother Bob.
I hear you.
And those mixed feelings of that movie is terrible. But there have been scenes online, pictures and stills of Superman, Mr. Henry Cavill, talking to Shazam.
Right. Now that was something in his contract. He was supposed to play Superman one more time, and the rumor was we were going to see him in Shazam.
Yes.
And I still hope that happens. I still hope that at the very end of it, he shows up and all of us are like, "Oh!" But we'll have to see.
That's one of the reasons there's been also rumors that they deleted that scene.
I know. That's why we're going to have to wait and see.
And if they extend his contract where he says, "I'm going to stay," I mean, they could possibly do something huge with the DC universe.
Yeah. I just hope they don't go the route of Justice League. Let that lay low for a long time. Just do your individual movies, individual stories. Do a good Aquaman, do a good Superman, do a good Flash, do a good Wonder Woman, and then maybe down the road you can maybe do a Justice League. But just do good stories. Just do good movies.
The whole dude that was in there, what was his name? Steppenwolf.
Yeah, well, Steppenwolf is a secondary character. He was supposed to bring on Darkseid, and if Zack Snyder would have continued with his, we were supposed to get Darkseid in that movie.
Yeah.
And he even mentions Darkseid in one scene. So Steppenwolf to me has always been a secondary character. Forgive me, guys. I know inside of the comic books he's a little bit bigger, but to me he was always secondary. And as far as the New Gods go, you know, to Darkseid, which you look. If you're a comic book fan, you want Darkseid. Give us Darkseid, Warner Brothers.
Because if we can get Thanos in Marvel,
which
is like, you know, that you're reading a lot of like comic book, you know, versus Marvel, and they talk about the characters and stuff. You know, I mean, come on now.
You've got to get.
We got to have Darkseid. If they're going where they're going at right now, we got to have some of our main characters.
Absolutely, and don't get me wrong, you know, Batman versus Superman. It was good, but to me, I'm sorry, that was not Doomsday. Yes. Give me a real Superman versus Doomsday movie.
Yes.
Please.
You look at the comic books, and I was reading one the other day, I was reading one of those episodes, one of those issues, and it was totally different.
Absolutely.
What's his face did a great job portraying Batman. But it was that. It had a more comic feeling to it.
Absolutely.
You know, like if I'm sitting home watching Saturday morning cartoons.
Right.
And I love Superman. Don't get me wrong, guys. And it's just one of those things where it didn't do anything for me.
Yeah.
And if I was to do a screenshot of my office, and my niece around Thanksgiving, they thought it'd be funny to count how many Superman things I have, and they counted at 65 at the time, but at the time they did not count my comics.
Right.
So I mean, a comic book thing is probably about 100 comics maybe in this book, or I don't know, 75.
Yep.
I don't know how many can fit in a box. So I'm a big Superman fan.
Absolutely.
So I'm excited. That's my story, and I'm gonna stick to it. All you Superman haters out there, I'm gonna tell you the original OG is Superman, not Batman.
But I tell you what, if you're a Superman hater, why are you listening to this podcast? That's all I gotta say.
I know.
That's all I gotta say.
Are you listening?
So, Super Dave, this is issue 2 of the Fortress of Popitude,
and it's legit.
It was legit, absolutely. My name is Bullseye Bob, and you are
Super Dave.
And this was the Fortress of Popitude. See you guys next time.
Stop talking about comic books or I'll kill you.